Greetings, Calvary Watch Care members. This is Sister Means with you for another episode of Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 3, Chain of Command. Wow, this episode, it wasn't a whole lot that went on, but what went on was very interesting. So, at the Greenleaf Mansion, we have Grace, Lady May, and Sophia. There's obvious tension between Grace and Lady May. Sophia's trying to break the tension, and when she's not successful, she's like, well, I'm off to school. Grace says, hey, I'm going out tonight. Let me see what I can do for you, give you some money for food or what have you. And Lady May was offered to have a dinner date with her granddaughter, and Sophia accepts. And as Sophia exits, Marisol comes in and provides Lady May with an envelope that was just delivered. When Lady May opens the envelope, it's a divorce decree. Be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. So, Grace is witnessing her mother's face change, and she sees a change in expression, and she's asking, what's going on? What is that? And, Lady May looks at her and said, really? After the way you spoke to me the other night, the only reason why you're still here is because you're family. If you were family, you wouldn't still be living here. And she grabs the envelope and she abruptly leaves the table, gets into her car, and she screeches off of the Greenleaf property. She goes to see a lawyer, and she explains to the lawyer that my husband had an affair with my sister, and it was ongoing. Now he's seeing a woman half his age, and I only want what is fair. And the lawyer's talking about, oh, this is great. He's a pastor and you're a first lady, and he's had an affair, so he's a hypocrite, and this is salacious. This is good. And so Lady May says, are you a Christian? And she says, no, I'm not. And when it's said and done, you're going to be glad that I'm not a Christian, because even though you want what you think you're entitled to, that's not how it works. You're not going to get what you're entitled to. In other words, you're going to need someone like me to get what you believe that you're entitled to. After seeing the lawyer, Lady May goes off to the bar where it began, where she told her best friend, Maxwell Patterson, that she was not going to go to seminary. She was going to go off to be with James because she had fallen in love. And now she's returned to heed her regret and to contemplate her next moves. And she's drinking, and she's there for a while. She eventually invites some barflies to come and sit with her, tells them her story of woe as she buys them drinks. And knowing that she was too intoxicated to drive back, she inquires with the barkeep about the hotel adjacent to the bar. And he tells her, well, it might be something that you're not accustomed to, but it is clean. She calls Sophia to let her know, hey, sweetie, I'm sorry I missed our dinner date. I will make it up to you. Can you be a messenger for me and let everybody know I'm fine, but I won't be home tonight? So Sophia calls Grace, who's out to dinner with Darius. And, of course, Sophia's concerned that Grandma's not coming home tonight. And Grace says, oh, I'm sure it will be fine. And, you know, Grace is like, I know that this Rochdale Cross woman has something to do with it. And that's when later on, Darius comes back to tell her she's clean and tells her about the church being in jeopardy and, you know, that father's being investigated for not submitting taxes on the love offerings. So you get Charity that is jilted by she's jilted by Jabari. What happens is she goes to pick up baby Nathan, and Aaron is actually taking care of him, and she's feeling some type of way that Aaron's holding her baby, and she grabs him, and she basically is, you know, trying to collect the things, and he's like, can you wait around for a few minutes? Kevin should be back soon. We both wanted to talk to you. She said, why? Are you moving in? And, you know, by the expression on Aaron's face, and he said, well, we both wanted to tell you. And she said, okay, well, that's fine, whatever. And, you know, she basically takes baby Nathan and moves on. And when, you know, she basically gets shut out by Jabari again when she tries to contact him, she drives from Memphis to Nashville with baby Nathan in tow. She confronts Jabari, tells Jabari, hey, put me in, coach, I'm back on the team. You can let her go. And he's like, no, I have a contract with her, and, you know, I have to fulfill that contract. And, you know, she's like, I thought you loved me. He said, I did. And I'm like, well, what kind of love do you have that it ended so quickly? I mean, that was a matter of a couple of days. You know, and he basically said, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to still deal with you, but at this point, I don't want to deal with you. Just go home. And she is broken. She is hurt. And when she was traveling, Kevin calls her to follow up with her about things. And she said, I'm fine. I'm moving on too. You know, I got things going on as well. And he said, well, where are you right now? And she says, I'm on tour. And, you know, that's not sitting well with Kevin because he's already said you can't take baby Nathan across state lines. So he is not feeling this. You have Zora, who has stolen the money from the collection plates. Jacob is been made aware that there's money missing. And he's notified by Tasha. And he suspects Zora from the beginning because he said that's the only new usher that we've added since this money has turned up missing. And so he winds up telling Tasha, gather them all together. I want to meet with them. If they ask what it's about, tell them I want to thank them for their service. So he does have a meeting with the greeting or ushers board, and he basically says, I'm watching all of you. You can see that Zora is guilty, her head's down, and he's thanking them for their service. And, you know, he's looking generally across the crowd, but he focuses in on Zora and how she's responding to the things that he's saying. And after he has that meeting, he comes home and says, she took that money. He tells Carissa this, and she's like, Jacob, don't do this. And he knocks on the door. He tries to go directly in. The door is locked. He said, didn't we tell her not to lock the doors? And he's beating on the door. Zora finally opens up the door. And, you know, he goes in and he basically rips that room apart. He finds the money. And, you know, because when he told Carissa his suspicions, she said, you know, Zora has had problems, but that doesn't make her a thief. But after he had that meeting, he was positive that she had taken that money. And when he found the proof of it, he was livid. So, you know, that was pretty much it. It ends with Lady Mae coming in and basically she is, when she goes to the hotel, she winds up listening to Maxine Patterson all night until she falls asleep. She wakes up, she gets herself together, she comes to Calvary, she makes arrangements with Corinne to go to see Maxine Patterson for a one-day trip. And then she goes in and she speaks to her husband, and he's like, look, May, I'm sorry, and this, that, and other. She's like, David, I forgive you. What I can't do is forgive myself. I am, got to forgive myself now for ever marrying you. I had to figure out what God was calling me to do. And so she's basically accept getting a divorce. So this is going to be interesting how it plays out. I'm seeing I'm seeing Charity threatening a breakdown with this, because her life is just falling apart. And when she approaches her father about preaching, he basically tells her, preaching is not plan B. And we see evidence of this from the very first episode. She saw Grace coming back. So the first thing she wanted to do was get her father to let her preach. And then she got distracted from her wanting to preach when Kevin suggested that they start a family. And now, because things didn't work out on tour, and, things aren't working out with Jabari, and her marriage is falling apart, she's now addressing her father about preaching. And, people have mixed reviews about that, saying, well, maybe she is called a preacher, what have you. But when she approached her father, she was waiting for Bishop in his office. He thought it was Lady May, because at this point he's looking for Lady May because he knows he sent those divorce papers. But it's Charity, and she is saying that she's going to continue. She needs to know that her life is moving forward, and she wants to preach. And she said, God gave me this revelation. And she started talking about that God is the ultimate choir director, and we are part of his heavenly choir. And he's just looking at her like, what kind of sense is this? I mean, it's not anything biblically based on what she's saying. We know that actually the choir director was Lucifer before he became Satan. But I digress. She doesn't, people are saying that Bishop's too hard on her. But the thing is that it's not like something you study for. It's not a thing about going to seminary and just having the education or knowledge of the Bible. It is a calling, and you either have it or you don't. And with Charity, she doesn't have the gift of preaching. She is an exhorter, and that's what he encourages, because that's truly her calling. She tries to create the gift of preaching when it's convenient. Just like with Jacob, that wasn't his calling to be a preacher, but Lady May pushed James to have Jacob be a preacher. So, he basically told her, it doesn't happen like that. This can't be your plan B. And she didn't really care for how her father addressed that with her. But you're seeing Charity is breaking down. Bishop thinking that he's going to teach Lady May a lesson, this backfired on him. And, now, he's regretting his decision. And it looks foolish when you think they just had this vow workshop where they're teaching other couples how to keep things going, how to fight through the hard times where they're supposed to be the example. It doesn't mean that they can't have problems, but why would you propose divorce if that's not something you really want? So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes on. That was mostly what I got from this episode. If you like this review, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. I thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye.